You ever hear someone say, that's just how we do it? Congratulations. You just ran into one of our 11 constraints we call the ghost process. It means that basically nobody follows the same steps. So on paper, you might have a process, but in reality, everybody on the floor, everybody part of your sales team, they're just kind of doing it on the same, their own version, right? Their own way. You've seen this before. You can have the same business, the same job, have two totally different outcomes. And you'll continue to hear things. You'll things like, well, everybody just knows what to do. Or my favorite, I hear all the time, we just always done it that way. And I can promise you, the issue is not effort. It's never not working hard enough, or they're just not following the rules, or they're not following the program. That is not what this is, right? It's it's more like they know how it's done, and it's kind of confused because we think that we're doing it. It kind of lives in our head, and it always feels the right way, but there's no actually like enforced sequence, no visible proof, and usually like no real ownership of outcome, meaning like who actually owns the process. And I can tell you, the fix is not just sitting there and just like documenting everything. That fix, that loses in a hurry. You can't just sit there and make a 40-page SOP and be like, here you guys go, good luck. Why aren't we following it? Like, this doesn't work. Now, I'm going to list the fix, the steps how to fix it, and how to do it, and then actually why at the end of this video, like why these fixes work. And I'll give you some of my favorites because it's great when you can see it in action. And so we're going to break this down step by step. The first thing we're going to do is you got to pick one thing. So I'm sure you've got 52 million different processes that are broke. You want to fix it all. You just want to like throw it all in and do it. You have to do one thing at a time, especially businesses that have been around for a little bit and you haven't maybe instituted this. Not only is it a culture change, it's also just a lot of work. And trust me, the work is worth it in the end. I've seen it over and over and over through all sorts of different types of businesses. And so what you want to focus on, right, is the very first thing is pick the process that causes, maybe the most rework, the most amount of lost money, like what creates the most mistakes, or time, like what causes you a lot of time, or are you going back through things that you're like, okay, we did everything, this is great, and it comes back, you're like, I thought everything was great, I did it this way last time, but did we? And so we need to find out like what is the biggest hurdle we can tackle first. That's really step one. And it might seem like there's things on the surface that are more easier targets. I would push you to go just a little step deeper. Was there something before that for taking 100% accountability that maybe if this place wasn't in place, then that would never have happened? Maybe we're not trying to fix symptoms, we actually want to fix the root cause. So do a little bit of work and just keep asking yourself, like, why did this happen? And you'll find the one process. All right. Step two, I can't understate this enough. We don't want to make it too complicated. So, whether it's a simple onboarding process, whether it's how to, utilize somebody who's, maybe doing a quick QC check, whatever it is that you're following through, record it. Really, everybody's got a phone nowadays in your pocket. Pull it out, just do a video recording of the person who's doing it correctly, the right process on the right way. This does a couple things. One is you'll never have to argue this, that, or the other thing, right? Like it's documented proof. I would actually argue to have three different people following the correct process all video it. Have three different videos. And what you'll find is that just through normal day-to-day, you'll see the right way and what's being missed and what's not being missed. So first thing you do, pick the process. Second thing you do, record it, and then literally just capture it and make sure that there's no ambiguity. The next thing is I think this is where a lot of people make a mistake. They take this recording and look, you got Loom videos, you got YouTubes, you got all these things that can automate a lot of this stuff for you. So don't overthink this. But what I don't want you to do is, again, turn this into a massive document. You're trying to do all these things. Just extract it into like what I call like just a 5-step checklist, right? Like we just want to check 5 things. That's all we want to do with this one process. And I don't care what the process is. They will all fall into these major checkpoints. So first thing was like, did you prep the area? Like, are you ready to go? So if it's on a manufacturing floor and it comes to you in this assembly line, did you actually receive it in the way that you need to receive it? Does that make sense? And so the first thing is, I prep the area, this is what I have. If you're onboarding, do you have the documents that you need to make sure that, hey, this person has their badge, they have their login information? Like, are you prepped, ready to go? That prep work can be a couple of things, but you need to make sure that's ready. Second thing is like, don't forget to actually execute the task. I know it seems like I'm oversimplifying, but I'm not. So what is the actual video? Like, what is it that they actually have to do? Okay, and so the third thing is that there needs to be some type of verification. How do we know that we did the thing correctly? It can be as easy as a checkbox, an initial, a photograph. It could be a second person coming on and putting their signature on it. Like whatever it is, part of that process. Did you actually verify it? And then you want to be, okay, this is done. We've closed it out. It's moved on to the next line. And then the other last piece is you want to log the result. So what I mean is like when we log it, we say, okay, this is a completed finish. So it's not in work in progress. It is actually complete. I'm telling you, this is like just a 1-page, really, really quick little checkpoint here. And that's step 3. I mean, that almost can all happen in one video. You utilize like something like Loom, it'll spit it out for you. Copy, paste, put it in one document. And what we do with that one document is the most important part. Depending on your workflow, depending on your business, if it's online, if it's on a floor, if it's in a warehouse, whatever that looks like, but you want to store it in one central place. Don't be cute with it. Label it. Make it clean, make it easy. Don't get fancy with terminology, like onboarding new employees. Like really make it very, very clean, very clear. I've gotten into so many facilities. I'm like, well, where is this? And I'll go over there. And yeah, as a new guy walking into, a new facility, I might not understand all the terminology. If you go over there and it's got all these funny words on it, at the end of the day, you're just turned off. It's just not going to be read. Just don't overthink it. Like the goal is not to be outsmart everybody. The goal is to get a process documented, informed, ready to go, easy training so that you can get the output that you actually are looking for. So then the fun part, right? Then we train them. We gotta train our teams to do this stuff. And you train them by actually using that checklist that you created in step 3. You're gonna go out, you're gonna watch the video together, you'll walk through it together, you'll actually perform it, and then everybody will sign a piece of paper that says, this is what I learned, and this is the day I got trained, and this is my signature that yes, I got trained on how to do X. So they sign it, the person who did the training signs it, and it's a real piece of paper. Not something that we said, yeah, okay, we were all there, or everybody goes in and they just put their signature on one piece of paper and you got 15 signatures on a paper that nobody was really paying attention to. And again, you're not asking for an essay, you're asking for a couple of sentences that, like, did they grasp what it was that you were teaching them? And that does a couple things. One is that we can always go back to that document and say, hey, remember, Phil, last week we talked about wanting to check this off. You signed here through this training. Did we miss something? What was looked at? And again, you're not trying to get people in trouble. You're trying to figure out where the process broke. This goes back to like, are we enforcing the checklist? And so if they've been trained on it and they've documented training, not verbal, like straight documented training, then something got missed. 2 things happened, right? Sometimes the employee forgets, or we're not enforcing it directly on the floor, or the process really is wrong. So I guess that's 3 things. But you get the idea is like, when we have this, like if the process is wrong, great. Nothing's written in stone. Change the process, retrain, do it again. I know this seems like a lot of stuff, but it's not, because it can happen so quickly and you do it. So you're doing the verification checks. You assign one person, one owner that's going to own this entire thing. that owner is going to be the one that's going to be enforcing that. They might not be doing the task, but they're going to be the one enforcing it. Are they doing their checks? Are they doing random audits? And if somebody ever comes to you like, oh man, like, how do we do this? Like, what should we do? And they've been trained, like, we have a checklist that we can go to. So it's never about, oh, you do this and go away. Like, that's not training. Go back through the checklist, train it, and we move on. That is how we actually get to making this an enforceable process. The pushback I hear a lot is like, well, we just don't have enough time to do this. And you've probably heard the saying, but like, I love the saying. It's like, if you don't have enough time to do it, twice, right, then you better do it right the first time. And by doing it right, then you better make sure that you've got everything in front of you. It's trained, documented, enforced. Taking those few minutes of preparation on the front side, I mean, you guys know it saves hours and hours and hours, tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, I've seen it work in facilities with really high-end robotics, and I've seen it work at massage clinics, like everything in between. Take the time to train. And then really the last time, and it goes into what we were just saying with 6 and 7, is like, you want to review it, refine it. Again, one thing at a time, but as you're enforcing it, as you're getting feedback, especially from new hires or anybody that's, hasn't been used to doing the process, see, is there a step that's getting skipped? Is something unclear? Like, what can we do to make it simple? And then just update the checklist itself, that training document, retrain if you have to. And you just do, again, start with one at a time. I like to have a rule, like just like one a week. The time's going to go by anyways. We're going to do this. You don't need to spend hours doing this. You can spend, a 5-minute meeting, do a quick training on a QC line, or a quick 10-minute meeting on how to take a sales call, like whatever that process is. But taking that time to go through that, it makes the world of difference. Let me tell you why this fix actually works, right? Like I can hear all the pushbacks, right? One is, we all think we're going to memorize everything that we do because we do it every single day. The reality is that we memorize a sort of process. We memorize what we think are the important things. But if we're doing that at every step of the way, and one little thing gets missed here and another thing gets missed there, it just becomes incredibly unreliable. And by the time it gets all the way down, maybe to your customer side, whatever that looks like, you've missed so many steps that end product is not what you expected. I know this because you have reworks. You have client calls like, where is this? This is missing. You're having onboarding. You're having people that work there for 3 months still don't know what to do. This happens all the time. So the checklist is like crazy reliable. The other one is... The reality is it centralizes the truth. Everybody thinks they have their same version of truth. Steve told me this, Sarah told me that, this is what I have to do. And you're going to get all these different versions. And you just remove the emotion, you remove all of that. But at the end of the day, everybody wants to do a good job. They really do. And so when Steve comes to you, he's like, man, this guy over here, he's telling me how to do this. I don't really know, because when I got trained a couple months ago, they said this, like, what do we do? All that's gone. You just go to the document and say, this is what we do. And here's the fun part. Like, you want to create an atmosphere where if they come to you and you don't have a document, great. This is what we're going to work on this week. It improves employee morale because now like everybody's on the same page. We don't have a he said, she said. And then all of a sudden you get the buy-in, really get the buy-in from the people that have been there a while. As we look at things, maybe we're having an idea of like, that's how it should be done, but get buy-in from the people that are touching the product every single day. Not only does that help with buy-in in enforcing the actual process, but you're actually going to more likely get it done correctly in the right way. And you need to know your product. You need to know like what that flow looks like. But that is so, don't underestimate the importance of getting buy-in from the people that are doing it every day. One of my other favorite things is like, you'll hear me talk about all the time, like metrics, right? Like how we measure everything. The more things you can measure without, getting bogged down, make sure it's important to your company. But like what you can see is you can start measuring consistency. So all of a sudden these random mistakes stop happening. And so if there's a mistake that's happening, a pattern starts to reveal itself. Now we know exactly where to go and what to fix. Maybe it was a process that wasn't documented. You documented all these other things, you fix these problems. Now you can hone in on exactly what is going on. And it works both ways. You'll see an improvement. Again, if you're measuring it, you'll see an improvement on quality defects going down, customer complaints going down. You'll see close rates go up because people are onboarding. Like, this is my favorite thing, right? Like, when we're talking to somebody and we're wanting them to understand the importance of, say, calling customers back, returning what that lead time looks like. And we have a fun documented process that we try to make it a good time. But like, hey, if they reach out on whatever lead form that we have, we say, okay, we got to, if it's, if it's an email, we're responding in 24 hours. If they call, we're going to call back that same day. If it's a text message, so we're going to respond immediately. We're going to create these avenues that's very, very black and white on how we want to respond to our customers. And so when we bring on a new sales client, it's not, or a new sales associate, there's no ambiguity. There's not like, well, my last job I did this, well, they told me that. And so when you measure all of that stuff and you be like, you'll start seeing every one of these improvements going up.